Discovering my husband's affair started with a trivial incident. At a friend's dinner gathering, he, who was usually aloof, suddenly began serving food to everyone present. Later on, I overheard him softly reciting a line from Roman Holiday in his study. To shake your hand. I shook hands with everyone. Both Sam Sue and I hail from a remote small county. We were small, town scholars who triumphed in the college entrance exam through hellish hard work, earning our bachelor's degrees from 211 universities and masters from 985 institutions. After graduation, we both entered the public sector. Starting from the grassroots, we took steady steps, gradually putting down roots and expanding our lives in the state capital, where we had no prior connections. Now, we've each been promoted to department heads, gained respectable social status, bought cars and houses, with our housing provident funds fully covering the mortgages. In short, we achieved worldly success and upward mobility in the mainstream sense through the most traditional, fair, and shortcut, free path in Chinese society. This year, Sam Sue and I had two more pieces of good news. The first was at the beginning of the year when he was transferred to a leadership position in an enterprise, multiplying his salary several times over. Another thing is, I'm pregnant. Yes, it took 6 years of marriage before I conceived. Sam Sue comes from 3 generations of only sons, with a family history of oligospermia, making conception nearly impossible after 30. Our journey to have a child over these years was no less challenging than building a career and home. Fortunately, 2 months ago, in the first spring of Sam's 30s, I finally became pregnant. When we got the report, Sam, who rarely shows emotion, hugged me tightly. He cried tears of joy like a child. After years of hard work in the city, we have a few friends we meet regularly for gatherings. Today was one such occasion. Before the meal began, everyone surrounded Sam, showering him with praise, lauding him as a young achiever, and saying the position of deputy director was within reach. Sam smiled modestly. In the government office, he's renowned for his writing skills, always highly regarded, and carries a certain air of aloofness. Tiger Chung and his wife came today as well. Someone mentioned, everyone's expressions instantly turned somewhat awkward. Tiger Chung is Sam's hometown friend. He made some money as a contractor a couple of years ago, but developed a gambling addiction, not only squandering his family's wealth, but also ending up as a person on the credit blacklist. Every time we gather for a meal, he drinks himself into a stupor, cursing the heavens, the earth, and the unfairness of society. Last time, he even got into a fight with an old friend, beating him so badly that the friend was hospitalized for half a month. I invited him. Sam Sue set down his teacup and said calmly, "After all, he's been a friend for many years. We can't just abandon him because he's down on his luck." Seeing his stance, the others could say little more, nodding with awkward smiles. I frowned slightly. It wasn't for any other reason, but I'm pregnant now, and Tiger Ching smokes heavily, one cigarette after another without pause. When I bring it up, he gives me a sarcastic look as if I'm looking down on him. I wanted to speak to Sam Sue, but noticed his gaze fixed on the door, as if anticipating something. Bang! The door was flung open violently. I shuddered. Tiger Chung stormed in, cursing loudly. $20 for parking. Damn it, why not just rob me? He then pointed behind him and yelled, "Traitorous scum, what woman doesn't stand by her man? But you, damn it, side with outsiders." Behind him, a woman followed with her head bowed, faint finger marks visible on her face. This was Tiger Cheng's wife, Rose Shen. She had a gentle appearance and was kind and virtuous, but unfortunately, her fate wasn't great. She ended up with a hot, tempered husband like Tiger Chung. "Stop yelling. Watch your tone." Sam Sue suddenly spoke in a deep voice, clearly displeased. Tiger Chung immediately changed his expression upon seeing him, breaking into a wide smile. "Bro, sorry. My temper got the better of me again, and I didn't mind the setting. I'll punish myself with 3 drinks later." With that, he casually took a seat at the table, picked up his chopsticks to grab some peanuts, ignoring the person behind him. Rose Shin stood awkwardly by the door. She subtly tucked a strand of hair to hang down, clearly trying to cover her face. Everyone showed sympathy, deliberately averting their gaze to spare her embarrassment. I sighed and said aloud, "Rose, come join us quickly. The food will be served soon." She gave me a grateful smile and came in to sit beside Tiger Chung. "Thank you, sis." After saying that, she glanced past me at Sam Sue beside us and whispered, "Thanks, bro." Sam Sue's expression tightened slightly, but he said nothing. During the meal, Tiger Chung started cursing loudly again, alternating between smoking and drinking, soon turning as red as a boiled shrimp. Rose Shin kept busy peeling shrimp for him and refilling his glass, hardly eating anything herself. I was about to suggest she eat more. Suddenly, Sam Sue extended his chopsticks and placed a piece of fish in host Brother Tan's bowl. Brother Tan chuckled in surprise. "I'm the host today. I should be serving you." "Same difference," Sam Sue replied calmly, then stood up and served a shrimp to the person seated next. In this way, he went around the table in order, serving each person a portion of food or a bowl of soup. Everyone present was flattered and astonished. "What's gotten into Bro Sam today? Has the sun risen from the west?" "Yeah, this is way out of character for him. Must be because sis is pregnant. Bro Sam's over the moon." Right, that explains it. I was initially a bit surprised too, but hearing everyone say so, I felt it was indeed the case. Sam Sue has a reserved personality and isn't good at expressing himself. My pregnancy was tremendous news for him and his entire family. His parents back home were even more thrilled than when they learned he had passed the civil service exam. At that moment, I smiled, thinking to tease him a little, but then I saw him slightly lift his gaze, his eyes inadvertently falling on the right front. I followed his line of sight. Rose Shun was lowering her head, taking small sips of soup with a spoon, amidst the stray hairs falling over her face. Her almond-shaped eyes were slightly reddened. Sam Sue had just served her a bowl of chicken soup. I work in human resources at my company. When it comes to observing people and their relationships, I'm relatively more experienced and insightful than others. For instance, I could tell at a glance Sam Sue's unusual behavior today stemmed from his intention to serve Rose Shin that bowl of soup. Why would Sam Sue suddenly show such concern for Rose Shin? I couldn't help but recall 2 months ago, when Tiger Chang's father passed away. Sam Sue, being a fellow townsman, returned with him to pay condolences and also took the opportunity to visit his own parents. He was gone for 5 days, traveling together with Tiger Chung and his wife both ways. Could something have happened during that time? The sensitivity of my profession has instilled in me the habit of not jumping to conclusions. After all, objectively speaking, Sam has always treated me quite well. We met by the artificial lake at the university. He was the earliest to arrive for morning reading every day. I was the second. We were remarkably similar, both from small towns, with humble family backgrounds. 3 generations had pooled their efforts to produce a shining example who brought honor to the family. For so many years, pressure and accolades had been focused on us, driving us to run forward without a moment's slack. It felt as if I had finally found a companion, as if, while trudging alone in the sunless depths of the sea, I discovered I wasn't the only one. I believe I meant the same to him. As for what happened at the dinner table earlier that day, I didn't mention a word of it. That night, he held me close, his desire barely contained. "Claire, not yet. No, it hasn't been 3 months. We need to wait a bit longer." He took a few heavy breaths, got out of bed, and said helplessly, "I'm going to take a cold shower." I was half asleep when he woke me up. He frowned. Tiger Chung is drunk and causing trouble again, smashing things all over the house. I need to check on him. "Who called you?" I asked. "His wife. She and the child were both crying over the phone." It sounded serious. I glanced at my phone. It was past 11. "It's too late. Don't go. If there's really a problem, she could call the police. Besides, this is their family matter, and you're not related to them." "Claire." Sam Sue suddenly snapped at me in a rough tone. His shout caught me off guard. His face was full of impatience, his eyes carrying a hint of unfamiliar sarcasm. When did you become so selfish? Now that you're living well, you just stand by and watch your own kind suffer? You know Rose Shun's character. She wouldn't have reached out to me for help unless she had no other choice. Claire Guan, aren't you ashamed of saying such cold words to a friend? I stared at him in astonishment, as if I didn't know him at all. It had been a long time since I'd argued with anyone, whether with colleagues, family, or even Sam Sue. I'd realized long ago that arguments solve nothing, only turning dialogue into emotional clashes as rationality gradually fades. Even when arguing, it should be a means, not an end. Anger harms the body. It's your own body that suffers. At this moment, I closed my eyes briefly and asked him calmly, the life I have now was earned through my own step-by-step efforts. Why should I feel ashamed because others are unfortunate? Sam Sue stood by the bed, glaring coldly at me. I'm definitely going today. At night, I didn't know when Sam Sue returned. When I left for work, his shoes were lying haphazardly by the door. The small bedroom door was tightly shut. That day, I had an organizational review meeting. It was very important. I couldn't let him affect my emotions in any way. This little conflict would be resolved by evening. When I returned from work, a steaming hot meal and a plate of cut fruit were laid out on the table. There was also a birthday cake. He came out carrying a bowl of soup, smiling casually as if nothing had happened, saying, "Perfect timing. Go wash your hands and eat. I made your favorite braised fish in soy sauce." I lower my gaze, slowly place my bag on the cabinet by the door, looked up, and smiled back. "Happy birthday." He chuckled lightly. 31 already, an old man now. During the meal, he mentioned casually, "Last night I went to give Tiger Ching a talking to and came back. I was afraid of waking you, so I slept in the next room." I nodded without saying a word. As I got up after finishing the meal, I remembered something and turned to tell him, "I haven't been sleeping well lately. How about you sleep in the small bedroom for now?" He was taken aback for a moment. Okay. For the following period, life between Sam Sue and me returned to calm. I was busy with interviews and onboarding processes for new hires at my workplace. While he was occupied with launching a new project at his company, it was as if nothing had ever happened. We are both people who prioritize reason over emotion. We weigh the pros and cons in everything we do. I thought this might be one of the benefits of marrying a rational person. But soon, I realized I was wrong. My younger brother Frank Guan suddenly called me. He is 6 years younger than me, having just completed his master's degree and currently job hunting. He beat around the bush with a lot of irrelevant talk before finally asking, "Sis, how have you and brother in law been lately?" I found it odd and said, "If you have something to say, just say it directly." After he hesitantly finished speaking, a wave of anger gradually spread through me. Frank studied materials engineering, and in recent years, graduates from his school in this field who intended to stay in the city were almost all absorbed into the company Sam Sue currently manages. Yet, Frank said he was eliminated during the interview stage. The reason given was that the senior leadership did not approve. "Sis, out of the 8 classmates from our class who stayed in the city, I'm the only one who got rejected. So I'm wondering if brother in law might have some other thoughts." After hanging up, I composed myself and immediately called Sam Sue. He didn't answer. 10 minutes later, he called back. "What exactly about Frank Guan doesn't meet your company's hiring criteria?" I asked straight away. He paused for a couple of seconds on the other end before responding calmly. "Ching Ching, there's nothing that doesn't meet the criteria. Then why wasn't he accepted?" "Well, here's the situation. This time, the leadership wanted to hire someone with more social experience, so there was one less position available. After careful consideration, I did take the initiative to remove Frank Guan's name. I'm new to this position, and bringing in my brother in law right away would inevitably lead to gossip about favoritism. Ching Ching, you should understand." "I don't understand." I cut him off. "Frank Guan was already in his major before you were transferred, so even if you weren't in management, he would have definitely gotten into that company. There's no favoritism involved at all. Besides, you mentioned that the leadership wanted to hire people with social experience, which reduced one position. As the deputy general manager in charge, wasn't that your proposal? Sue fell silent for a few seconds, his tone turning cold. Claire, you're in HR too. I didn't expect you to be so immature at a critical moment. Anyway, this matter is settled. Throwing a tantrum won't change anything. He hung up the phone. I bent over, clutching my stomach as waves of cramping pain hit me. When Frank Wong got into university, his goal was to join that major state-owned enterprise in the industry. I never thought that as his sister, instead of helping him achieve his life's ambition, I'd hold him back because of this brother-in-law. My heart ached terribly. Sue and I started a Cold War, but this time, his attitude seemed unusually firm, even disregarding my emotional state during pregnancy, showing no sign of backing down or softening. Frank Wong, in turn, comforted me. Sis, don't blame brother-in-law. He must be facing difficulties as he's new to the company. I'm young anyway, and gaining experience at another company won't hurt. 2 days later, while having dinner out with colleagues, I unexpectedly ran into Rose Shun. She was eating with several men and women, speaking their hometown dialect, likely a gathering of fellow townspeople. Seeing me, she smiled faintly and approached with a man. Sis, what a coincidence. I smiled and nodded. Yes, what a coincidence indeed. The man beside her beamed at me. Auntie told me you're President Sue's wife. I came over specifically to greet you. I'm one of his employees. I asked politely. Hello, which department are you in? He said with a smile. I'm part of the new hires. Still in my internship. Thanks to President Sue this time. The company never recruits fresh graduates normally. If Auntie hadn't asked him to make an exception for me, I wouldn't have had any chance at all. I lowered my gaze and remained silent for quite some time. Rose Shun spoke up softly. How about we set a day for you, Bro Sam, Tiger Chung, and me to have a meal together? Sis, the soup bowl on the table had congealed a layer of white grease, dull and nauseating. I slowly lifted my gaze and let out a soft laugh. Sure, at 10 in the evening, as Sue walked in, I was leaning against the bed reading. The party office at work had organized a reading share session, and I'd chosen selected works of Mao. He extended his hand, passing me a stack of cash. Frank just graduated and needs to rent a place. Give him this $5,000 as a little support from his brother-in-law. I glanced at the money in his hand. No need. Sam's brow furrowed. He was silent for a few seconds, then said with a hint of restraint, Claire, surely you're not still holding a grudge over the interview matter? I may have some authority now, but it's precisely because of that power that I have to tread carefully. Why can't you understand me? I closed the book. No need means Frank doesn't need to rent. He's bought a place. Sam was taken aback, a look of surprise crossing his face. Bought a house? Where did Frank get the money for that? With just your parents' meager retirement pensions? Didn't you say they were counting on him to graduate and start working? I suddenly looked up, silently staring at him. He met my gaze abruptly, realized something, his expression turning slightly awkward. He cleared his throat before continuing. He's a master's graduate. Even if he can't get into this company, he'll find a job eventually. Oh, Claire, we're husband and wife, the closest people in the world. You're pregnant now. Can we stop arguing over this? If you give him the money, how could he possibly afford a house? He couldn't before, but I lent him 300,000 yuan. With housing prices falling, it's just enough for a down payment on a small second-hand apartment. I explained calmly, my tone matter. Of fact, what did you say? Sue wore an incredulous expression. You gave him 300,000. Claire Guan, how could you make such a big decision on your own and only tell me now? I leaned back against the bed, tilting my head as I looked at him. Sam, have you been overworked lately? You seem to be having trouble hearing clearly. I clearly said lend, not give. And isn't this similar to when your sister got divorced 2 years ago? You took $30,000 to help her buy a house and only told me afterward. His face darkened. How can that be the same? How is it different? My sister was kicked out of her Law's house with nowhere to go. And I later asked for your opinion, which you agreed to. Frank just graduated. He's young, and buying a house isn't urgent. I nodded slowly. Yes, originally Frank was set to join the state, owned enterprise, and could stay in the employee dormitory, so buying a house wasn't urgent. But now that he's been rejected and has nowhere to live, he's just moving up his plan to buy. As for acting without consulting you, isn't that what I'm doing right now? Asking for your agreement? Sam stood there stunned, his mouth opening and closing as if he wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words for a long moment. Sam, I could understand your sister's situation. Can't you try to understand my brother's? Or do you think I don't have the right to do this in this family? I looked at him calmly. 3 years of dating, 6 years of marriage. I know him well. His innate nature makes his true emotions surface instantly in unexpected situations. His acquired traits allow him to quickly calm down and make rational decisions in a short time. The money has been given, and the matter is settled. Clearly, there's a reason behind it. The cause originated from him and was amplified by me. Fair enough. The bedroom fell into a brief silence. Sam Sue stood by the bed, his expression shifting several times before returning to normal, even carrying a hint of a tolerant smile. Of course, Ching-Ching, you naturally have the right to make decisions in this household. Frank is your own brother, not an outsider. It's only right that we lend him money for such an important life event. I curved my lips into a smile and said softly, all right, I'm a bit tired and need to sleep. You should rest early too. He walked out silently, turned back at the door, and spoke thoughtfully. There's one more thing. Tiger Chung and his wife want to invite us for a meal. If you don't want to go, I'll just go by myself. I'll go. Tiger Chung is hosting a family dinner. When Sam, Sue, and I arrived, he was turned away on the balcony, humbly answering a debt collection call. His 9-year-old son T. Ji opened the door for us. He didn't greet us, just walked into his room, holding his phone with a cold expression. Tiger Chung turned around dejectedly and hurried over to greet us when he saw us. He angrily scolded Rose Shun, who was bringing hot soup from the kitchen, for not noticing that guests had arrived. Rose trembled at his words, spilling the scalding soup on her hand, which immediately turned red. Sam Sue slammed the gifts on the table and said gruffly, enough. I came here to eat, not to watch you berate a woman. Rose bit her lip and forced a smile. I'm fine. He's just upset. Letting him vent a bit won't hurt me. Sam Sue glanced at her hand, his face darkening. I was slightly puzzled, not understanding why Sam Sue was so concerned about her hand. Rose was a hard-working and capable woman. She bustled about alone, preparing a large table full of dishes. During the meal, Sam Sue seemed unable to hold back and lectured Tiger Chung. She takes care of you with good food and drink every day. Don't be ungrateful for your blessings. Never lay hands on her again. That's domestic violence. She could sue you, you know. Tiger Chung nodded repeatedly while drinking, but Rose Shen chuckled softly. Forget it. Forget it. Men work hard outside with lots of pressure. He only hits me when he truly can't help it. Besides, if he doesn't vent his anger on his closest person, who else can he turn to? I'll take good care of him at home every day, make our life comfortable, and everything will be fine. I was drinking soup with my head down when I heard this. I suddenly looked up, momentarily unable to believe my ears. Then I heard Sam Sue beside me let out an almost imperceptible sigh. The sigh carried a hint of emotion. Tiger Chung had already drunk quite a bit by then. With a smug look and slurred speech, he said, Bro, she might not be as capable as Sis, but when it comes to taking care of a man, Sis can't compare to her. And in bed, she really makes you. Tiger, if you're drunk, go sleep it off. Sam Sue sharply cut him off. Rose Shun's face flushed crimson with embarrassment, at a loss for words. In her fluster, she met Sam Sue's gaze and awkwardly tried to make conversation. Bro Sam, I really need to thank you properly for my distant nephew's matter. If it weren't for you, you've remembered wrong. Sam Sue interrupted her with an even harsher tone, his face tense. How would I know your nephew? You must be confusing me with someone else. Rose Shen froze. a look of confusion spreading across her face, as if she couldn't understand why his attitude had suddenly changed. The air fell into complete silence. I chuckled and spoke up to break the stalemate. Rose, you shouldn't just thank him. You should thank me too. After all, the special company position your nephew got only became available because Sam Sue removed my brother from consideration. As these words left my mouth, Rose Shun's eyes widened in shock. Sam Sue's chopsticks froze mid-air. On the way home, I didn't say a single word. After entering the house, I went straight into the bedroom to pack my luggage. Sam Sue sat alone in the living room for a while before slowly walking in with heavy footsteps. He stood by the door, his voice low and measured. Claire, there's been a misunderstanding. I hope you'll calm down and hear me out first. I promise every word I say next is true. I remained silent, not looking at him, steadily folding clothes in my hands. About Frank's matter, I admit I had personal motives. Having just been transferred to the company, with so many eyes watching, I had to tread carefully. But if my brother-in-law joined right after I arrived, those in the know might not say anything. But what about those unaware or who simply don't care about the details? They'd only seize the outcome to make a big deal out of it. So my selfish intention was to eliminate that possibility entirely, to avoid giving anyone grounds for criticism. As for Rose's relative, it was purely coincidental. Since the spot was vacant anyway, I thought I might as well do her a favor. Of course, that position was highly sought after. The reason I gave it to Rose was because I felt deeply sorry for her. At this point, his voice suddenly grew heavy. When I went back to their hometown with the couple, I saw with my own eyes how Tiger and his mother would insult and even hit her at the slightest provocation. It reminded me of my sister. I zipped up the suitcase and prepared to wheel it out. Sam Sue grabbed my hand firmly. Ching Ching, please don't act impulsively. I admit I've wronged Frank Guan in this matter. So, when you lent him money, I didn't say a word against it, did I? After all these years of our relationship, and with you being pregnant, are you really going to condemn me to death over this one incident? As he spoke, his voice choked up, and the corners of his eyes turned red. Apart from when I got pregnant, I hadn't seen him this emotional in years. I slowly pulled my hand away, my voice as calm and steady as ever. I'm going for training. He stared at me with red-rimmed eyes, scrutinizing my expression to gauge whether I was telling the truth. Training? I never heard you mention any training. I lowered my gaze and showed him my phone. On it was a notification for a management training session to be held at our alma mater in the city. He paused, still hesitant, and asked, "Didn't you tell me before that you didn't plan to attend any training after getting pregnant? Why are you suddenly going now?" People's minds can change, and I've decided I want to participate after all. I stared at him expressionlessly. I drove myself to my alma mater's hotel, checked in, and began the 4-day training session. On the first day, Sam Sue called me 9 times and sent over a dozen WeChat messages with instructions. I didn't answer a single call or reply to any message. On the second day, he messaged saying Frank Guan needed money for home renovation after buying a house, and he happened to have received a 50,000 quarterly bonus that he could sponsor. The money had already been transferred to Frank. I still didn't respond. On the third day, he said Rose Shun's distant nephew had been dismissed for failing the internship assessment, and they were currently arranging for the notification of unsuccessful candidates to join the company. The fourth day, he asked if I needed him to pick me up. I said yes. After Frank Guan joined the company, he specifically came to see me once. We siblings have always been very close. When he was just 5 or 6 years old, he would stand crying in front of me when older kids bullied me, telling me to run first. He was really worried about me because of this situation. "Sis, did you have a fight with brother-in-law?" I shook my head. "No, you know your sister has never been good at arguing." He furrowed his brows. "But why did brother-in-law suddenly change his mind and even offered me money? I can't help feeling uneasy. Sis, if I'm affecting your relationship, I'd rather not take this job." I patted his head. "Silly boy, there's nothing to feel uneasy about. You're getting what you rightfully deserve. Everything is just returning to how it should be. As for that money, well, consider it compensation, which is perfectly normal." Frank once said seriously, "Don't worry, sis. I'll definitely pay you back that money. I won't let anyone call you an overly devoted sister." I chuckled, "But how exactly did you manage it? Brother-in-law isn't the type to change his mind easily." I told him gently, "There are many ways to solve problems. You don't always have to have a big confrontation, whether it's a black cat or a white cat. If it catches mice, it's a good cat, right?" A month passed, and there was no change in Sam Sue's and my life. In fact, we never had a falling out or argument over this matter from start to finish. All our differences were expressed within the normal framework and rhythm of daily life. It seemed as if a problem had inadvertently appeared and then just as casually vanished. Sam Sue reduced his interactions with Tiger Chung and never mentioned Roshan again, as if he had abruptly severed ties with the couple. He went to and from work on time every day, taking meticulous care of me during my pregnancy. After 3 months, my appetite surged. He began to carefully plan my daily meals again. Life seemed blissful and peaceful, except for 2 minor incidents. The first was when I found a gold store receipt in his pocket, priced at 28,888 yuan. I took a photo of it and went to the store. The clerk showed me a picture. It was a gold bracelet. "I remember your husband. He said when buying it that he wanted to surprise his wife. You two are so lucky." The second incident happened last week. My car had some issues and was being repaired at the 4S shop, so Sam had been driving me around these past few days. That day, during a heavy downpour, I waited for him at the agreed intersection for 40 minutes, but his phone kept showing as busy. By the time he drove up, half of me was soaked. I got a last-minute call from my boss and was running late. "Why didn't you just take a taxi?" "Couldn't get a taxi in the rain." I sneezed. "But yesterday, when I went to my friend's bakery to buy some sweets, my friend told me, on that day of the heavy storm, your husband's car was parked right outside my shop for almost an hour. I thought no one was in it, but then it suddenly started and drove off. Turns out he was just making a phone call in the car the whole time." I was taken aback. "What time was that?" "Around 5 or 6 in the afternoon." I turned and looked toward the shop entrance. It was just around the corner from the intersection where I was waiting for him. So that day, while I waited for him in the wind and rain for 40 minutes, he was sitting in his car just around the corner, making a phone call. What could have been so urgent that he couldn't drive just a little further? That same night, I heard him watching Roman Holiday in his study, softly reciting a line from the movie, "To shake your hand." I shook hands with everyone. As he said it, he narrowed his eyes slightly. A strange, indescribable expression flickered across his face. It reminded me of the 4th day of training at my alma mater. That day, I went to the artificial lake and stayed there alone for a long time, gazing at the sparkling surface of the lake. I hesitated, pacing back and forth. Midway, I received a call from my mom. "Ching Ching, my legs aren't good, so I can't come take care of you during pregnancy. Keep your spirits up, eat as much as you can, and remember everything is for the baby." As soon as Mom hung up, my mother-in-law called. "Ching Ching, you need to nourish your body now. Sam's dad and I are planning to come take care of you. What would you like to eat? I'll prepare it in advance." At the same time, as if by prior arrangement, Sam Sue sent a WeChat message asking if I wanted him to pick me up. I scrolled up through the WeChat messages one by one, stroking my belly. Before leaving the artificial lake, I replied, "Okay, Sam Sue has his good qualities. He's smart, dependable, hardworking, and willing to persistently work towards his goals. More importantly, he has a promising future. This point is absolutely crucial. As for his shortcomings, I used to think they mainly stemmed from his inherent personality, such as selfishness, impatience, vanity, but this is human nature, and I have it too. As long as it's reasonably controlled and approached with rationality, it shouldn't hinder one's life. But now, I feel I might need to consider another layer. After all, the environment has changed. For the first time, he stood at a height he had never reached in life. A new environment brings new problems, New problems require new solutions. Life. We're all crossing the river by feeling the stones. I just didn't expect the twists and grandeur of fate to unfold in such an unexpected way. It caught me off guard. It came on fiercely. The day before retrieving the car, I went to a meeting at the Municipal Women's Federation. Since the meeting ended early, I took a taxi home by myself. On the overpass, the car was violently rear-ended by a truck, flipped multiple times, and only came to a stop after crashing into a bridge pillar. As I lost consciousness, I saw the driver struggling to escape. After who knows how long, amidst a clamor of noise, I groggily opened my eyes again. It was chaos outside, with several cars damaged, but mine had taken the worst hit. I felt a dull ache in my abdomen, just as panic set in. An ambulance arrived with its siren blaring. Through the window, I saw my taxi driver speaking to the medical staff, pointing in my direction, and they immediately rushed over. I was starting to relax when I suddenly spotted Sam Sue. He stopped the medical personnel. His expression was stern as he spoke loudly. His firm, resounding voice reached my ears. "Save the child first. I demand that you save the child first." Behind him stood Rose Shun, her face etched with anxiety. T.G. was wailing in her arms, his little leg bleeding. When I came to, I was lying in a hospital bed. The doctor said gently to me, "Fortunately, you had the sense to wear your seatbelt. Just some minor head injuries. Now that you're awake, you're fine. What about the baby?" I touched my stomach. "It's not a major issue, but we'll need to monitor it closely." After a moment of silence, I asked again, "Were all the injured from this accident brought here?" "Yes." After the doctor left, I got out of bed. I checked room by room along the ward, and, finally, in the farthest corner room, I spotted the person I was looking for. On the bed, T.G. was asleep with one leg in a cast. Rose Shun sat beside him, wiping away tears, looking pitiful and delicate. "Bro Sam, thank goodness you were here today. In that situation, I really wouldn't have known what to do without you." Sam Sue stood beside her, his expression restrained as he reached out to touch her head, but hesitated mid-air, held back by some concern. Rose noticed his hand and blushed slightly. After a moment, her soft voice broke the silence. "Bro Sam, you're so good to me. I'm willing." Sam Sue pressed his lips tightly together. "No need for formalities. We're friends. It's what I should do." Rose lowered her head, revealing her pale neck, her voice as soft as water. No one has ever been this good to me. Bro Sam, I remember it all in my heart. That time I hesitantly asked if you could help my nephew. You agreed without a second thought. I never imagined you'd even prioritize me over Sis. Though I know it's not right, but I was truly touched. That day, it was pouring rain, and I was just a bit scared. You even stopped the car halfway and spent an hour talking with me. And today, when the accident happened, I didn't know who else to call but you. I never expected you to come so quickly. I've had a hard life, growing up in a family that favor boys over girls, and after marriage, Tiger Chung would beat and scold me. This is the first time I felt truly cared for. As she spoke, she took Sam Sue's hand and pressed it against her cheek. Sam Sue did not resist. Bro Sam, I've always remembered that night 2 months ago. We were rushing from Tiger's hometown in the mountains to the county town, with Tiger snoring away in the passenger seat, and you and I squeezed so tightly together by the luggage we had no space. I could tell at a glance you were struggling to hold back. I knew it must have been a long time for you since Sis was pregnant, so I reached out and used my hand. I remember. Sam Sue suddenly spoke up. The mountain night is so dark. Your hands are so pale. I've never seen hands that white before. Rose Shun grew even more bashful. Bro Sam, I only helped you that one time. I never expected you to be so good to me. I truly feel guilty in my heart. Sam Sue fell silent for a moment, then said hoarsely, "Once is worth more than many times." My in-laws called me just as I had returned to my hospital room from the operating table. Upon learning I was injured and in the hospital, they came directly from the train station, seeing my swollen red eyes and deathly pale face. My mother-in-law's voice trembled. The baby isn't." Lying weakly in bed, I burst into tears. Dad, Mom, the baby is gone. The doctor said if I had arrived just 5 minutes earlier, the baby could have been saved. But the first ambulance was intercepted by someone. They stole the ambulance. They stole my child's chance to live. My father-in-law roared with bloodshot eyes. Who was it? Who killed my grandson? I'll make them pay with their lives. Overwhelmed with emotion, I cried until I passed out. I later heard what happened from the nurse. My in-laws, after learning the whole story, rushed into Rose Shun's hospital room. At that time, Sam Sue wasn't there. He was out buying food for her and the baby. When he returned carrying dumplings, he saw his own parents pinning Rose Shun to the floor, slapping her repeatedly, with no one able to stop them. Rose Shun couldn't move, her face swollen beyond recognition, emitting continuous, piercing screams. His mother looked up, saw her son standing at the door, and let out a heart-wrenching cry. Son, it was this woman's child who took your wife's ambulance. Your son is gone. Sam Sue's eyes widened, and the bowl slipped from his hands. Steaming dumplings scattered all over the floor. While I lay unconscious in my hospital bed, my in-laws found out that the man who had stopped the ambulance was their own son. After slapping Sam Sue several times, they looked up and sighed deeply. It's all fate. In their overwhelming grief, they discussed and decided that I must never know the truth. Otherwise, I would surely hate him to death. So when I woke up and saw the dazed Sam Sue, sobbing about failing to protect our child, he could only kneel painfully and guilt-ridden on the floor, silently shedding 2 streams of scalding tears. After a few days in the hospital, I returned home to recuperate. My in-laws had come full of anticipation but left heartbroken. As they departed, they looked at me with deep compassion. If the Sue family is destined to have no heirs, there's nothing anyone can do. It's just unfair to you. For the next month, Sam took care of me with meticulous attention. Despite his usually busy schedule, he devoted all his non-working hours to me, more attentive than if I were in traditional postpartum confinement. Most of the time, I lay in bed, eating the confinement meals he personally prepared or reading selected works of Mao. As he grew increasingly gaunt, I gradually recovered. My unit leaders and representatives from the Women's Federation came to visit me. Since the accident occurred during work hours while I was out for a meeting, it was classified as a work-related injury. Our department head is a female leader who deeply empathized with my situation. She stood by my bedside, offering comforting words. Claire, don't worry about work matters, and don't carry any burdens. Everyone in the unit has witnessed your work ethic and dedication, and you received the highest votes for this year's Outstanding Employee Evaluation. I showed my gratitude, saying, thank you, leader, and thank all my colleagues. I will definitely live up to expectations in my future work. Focus on recovering your health first. There will be plenty of opportunities ahead for you to make your mark. After the female leader and her entourage left, I leaned back on the bed, closing my eyes in deep thought. Sam Sue walked in and asked me gently, Claire, what kind of soup would you like today? I opened my eyes and pondered for a moment. Pork rib and lotus root soup. All right, I'll go to the market now to get fresh ingredients. Watching Sam's back disappear beyond the door, I picked up the selected works of Mao from the bedside and recited my notes word by word. We must fully exert our subjective initiative to break through the numerous obstacles on our path forward. Turn disadvantages into advantages. Transform unfavorable conditions into favorable ones. Just as I was almost fully recovered, Tiger Chung brought Rose Shun to visit me. I was warm and friendly toward Rose, but she avoided eye contact when she saw me. While speaking, my gaze drifted to her wrist. Rose, that gold bracelet is really beautiful. Must have been expensive? Tiger Chung snorted. Where would she get the money for real gold? It's a fake she bought from a street stall. Worthless. Rose showed a hint of panic and quickly said, Yes. It was just a few dozen yuan. I bought it because it looked shiny, just for fun. Remembering something, I smiled and pulled out my phone to show a photo. Look, this bracelet was secretly bought by Sam Sue to surprise me. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't found the receipt in his clothes. Tiger Chang's eyes lit up. Wow, yours is real then? How much was it? The receipt said 28,800, I said with a smile. But you have to keep it a secret for me. He hasn't given it to me yet. At that point, I suddenly stopped. Why does this one look a bit similar to the one Rose Shen is wearing? Tiger Chung leaned in, squinting his eyes. It's exactly the same, isn't it? Rose Shen forced a smile. Maybe it's a copy of the same style. Counterfeits these days are made to look just like the real thing. I chuckled. Right, how could you possibly get the real deal from a street stall? Tiger Chung glanced at the phone photo, then turned to look at Rose Shen's wrist. His brow slightly furrowed. I started sharing some gossip again. Rose, it's rare for you to come chat with me. I've been so cooped up at home lately. Oh, do you remember that couple living across from me? They've sold their place and moved out. Rose Shen asked reluctantly. Huh? Why? I shook my head and sighed. The husband was caught red-handed having an affair with someone else's wife. To hush things up, he had to pay a huge sum and even ended up selling their house. Tiger Chung sat nearby, silent for a long while. After I started working again, Sam Su's condition began to deteriorate day by day. The loss of this unborn child had hit him incredibly hard. He put on a forced smile in front of me, but more often than not, he would stare blankly at some spot, as if all his spirit had drained away. Tiger Chung suddenly started inviting him out for drinks frequently. At first, he turned down all invitations, fearing I might mind. I told him with heartfelt concern, "It's fine, go ahead. Everyone's been having a tough time lately. It's good to have a friend to talk to and relax with." He looked at me, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Claire, medical science is so advanced now. Once you've fully recovered, there will definitely be another chance to have a child." I nodded. Yes, I will definitely have another child. He might have been lying to me, but I certainly wasn't lying to him. After all, the doctor had told me that my body had recovered very well this time, and it wouldn't affect future pregnancies at all. The female leader kept her word. After I returned to work, she began to entrust me with more responsibilities. Claire, in the workplace, women do face more disadvantages compared to men, but as long as we work hard and are willing to put in the effort, we can certainly perform just as well as they do. I threw myself into my work with even greater dedication, seizing the career opportunities that were rightfully mine. One evening, as I was about to fall asleep, Sam Su suddenly spoke with a troubled expression. Tiger Chung got drunk again and was hitting people. This time, both he and his wife called me. "Ching Ching, if you need me to stay with you, I won't go." "Go," I said to him seriously. "Hurry. It wouldn't be good if something happens." Late that night, I was awakened from my drowsy sleep by noises outside the room. Getting up and going out, I was shocked to see Tiger Chung sitting boldly in the living room. "Sis, just go back to sleep. I came back with bro Sam to grab something, and we'll leave right after." Tiger Chung sat with his legs crossed, looking utterly nonchalant. Puzzled, I headed to the study. I ran into Sam Su just as he was coming out. His clothes were disheveled, his hair messy, and there was a clear handprint on his face. "Sam, what happened?" Startled, he dropped the money in his hand, scattering it all over the floor. "It's nothing. I accidentally knocked over a vendor's stall while driving, so I'm getting some money for Tiger to compensate them. Don't worry." As Tiger Chung left with the money, he glanced at Sam Su, waving his phone with an ambiguous tone. "Bro, I'll take this much for now, and if it's not enough, I'll ask for more. All right?" Sam Su's jaw twitched. "Get out of here." Since everyone said it was fine, I went back to my room and continued sleeping. I slept straight through until the next morning. Half a year later, while I was reporting work to my superiors, I suddenly received a call from the police. They only told me to come to the station, without specifying the reason. My supervisor had a union representative accompany me. At the police station, the officer informed me that my husband, Sam Su, had been in a fight where one person had cut off the other's ear. I was momentarily bewildered. Who cut whose ear? Sam Su cut off Tiger Chang's ear. The officer repeated it and explained the whole story to me. It turned out that on the night half a year ago, when Tiger Chung was abusing Roshan, Sam Sue had gone to his place to mediate, and both of them ended up getting drunk. When Tiger Chung woke up in the middle of the night, he found himself lying in the living room, while ambiguous moans came from the bedroom where his wife was. He walked in and saw Sam Sue moving on top of Roshan. Overwhelmed with rage, he rushed forward, pulled the oblivious couple apart, pinned Sam Sue to the floor, and beat him up. To silence Tiger Chung, Sam Sue was forced to agree to give him a sum of money. That was the reason I stumbled upon the two of them late that night. But with Tiger Chung buried in bad debts, how could a single payment satisfy him? Over the next 6 months, Tiger Chung blackmailed Sam Sue using a video he had recorded on his phone, extorting over 1.8 million yuan from him in installments. I gasped in disbelief. Impossible. Where did he get 1.8 million? Online loans. Sam Sue confessed. He had borrowed over 1 million from various platforms, and this time, when Tiger Chung brazenly demanded another 500,000, Sam snapped, grabbed a kitchen knife from Tiger's home, and slashed off his ear. I sat there stunned, unable to recover for a long while. A union representative patted my shoulder sympathetically. Section Chief Guan, you must hold on. Tiger Chung was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the crime of extortion involving a huge sum. Sam Sue was dismissed from public service for serious violations of law and discipline, and concurrently sentenced to 1 year in prison for intentional injury. I divorced Sam Sue while he was in prison. I was unaware of his loans, so the debts had nothing to do with me. On the day we signed the divorce agreement, I saw him for the first time in months. He had lost a shocking amount of weight, as if he had become a different person. There was no tearful breakdown as I had imagined. He sat there indifferently, his expression wooden and vacant. When he saw me, his body trembled, and he bowed his head deeply, so low that it created an eerie posture. Throughout the entire process, he was shaking slightly. I remained calm and detached. As I was leaving, he suddenly called out to me. I turned to look at him. A trace of confusion flickered in his eyes. He said, "How strange is human fate. Not long ago, I was standing at the peak, full of ambition. How could everything change so suddenly? Claire, tell me, why is this happening?" I gazed at him calmly. "Sam, you've forgotten your original intentions, forgotten where you came from. Every step that led you here was your own choice. Search your conscience. Do you truly not understand?" Back at the office, my colleagues congratulated me, saying my application for a temporary assignment had been approved. 2 months ago, when Sam's scandal was causing an uproar, I approached my supervisor and sincerely expressed my desire to work in a different environment for a while, hoping for an opportunity to be assigned to a county position. With steady steps, I went to thank my supervisor. On the way, I received a video call from my doctor. After that surgery, I often consulted her to speed up my recovery, and we gradually became friends. I found an empty conference room to take the call. After chatting briefly on video, she said, "Claire, even now, I'm shocked thinking about you during that surgery. One moment you were worried about the baby's safety. The next you came to me saying you wanted an abortion. Really, where did you find such courage?" I smiled and said, "I deeply admire my current leader. There's one thing," she said, "that I always remember. Women may seem fragile by nature, but once they possess the courage to go all in, they become unstoppable." After hanging up the phone, I turned around and found my leader standing at the conference room door. Suddenly, realizing something, my body tensed slightly. She paused thoughtfully. "I heard you were looking for me, and I needed to see you too, so I came over." I nodded. "Yes, leader. My approval came through, and I wanted to thank you." She was silent for a few seconds, looked at me, and slowly broke into a smile. "Claire, I was worried you might struggle with many situations when you go down there, but now I'm reassured. Work hard for 2 years, and I'll be waiting for you to return and show your full potential." Suppressing my inner excitement, I gave her a knowing smile. "Don't worry, leader." Extra story. When Sam Sue came out of prison, Rose Shun was standing outside the Iron Gate. "I've already divorced Tiger Chung. You've sacrificed so much for me, and I'm willing to follow you and take care of you for the rest of my life." Her eyes brimmed with tears as she gazed at him with delicate vulnerability. Sam Sue stared at her blankly for 2 seconds. Suddenly, he turned and bolted. He ran fast and frantically, as if being chased by ghosts. After several inquiries, he finally got Claire Guan's current phone number. Yes, he wanted to win Claire back. During his year in prison, he often thought of Claire, fondly reminiscing about every detail of their life together. In this world, only she could truly understand him. Only she could be his support. 10 years ago, when he had nothing, Claire was willing to enter his life. Though down on his luck now, he had work skills and life experience. Believing he could definitely start over, he dialed her number. It was somewhat noisy on the other end, as if some staff competition was underway. Blue team number 3, out. Red team number 8, out. Sam called her name steadily. Claire, it's Sam Sue. I'm out. Claire's surprised voice came through. Why are you still calling me? Sam Sue took a deep breath and declared solemnly, Vort bevort. Claire Guan, I want to pursue you again. There was a 2-second silence on the phone, followed by a sudden chuckle. This was the reaction he had anticipated. Unhurriedly, he continued, I know you haven't forgiven me yet, but that's okay. I'll take it slow. Life is a long journey, and I will make a comeback. Claire, during this past year in prison, I kept thinking about our child. I'll make up for all the shock and hurt you've suffered. An enthusiastic broadcast voice came through the phone. Next, let's invite Director Guan to the stage to announce the results of this staff competition. Sam, I was the one who chose to terminate that pregnancy. Amid the backdrop of applause, Claire stated this clearly and decisively. Sam was taken aback. What did you say? The elegant click of high heels sounded as Claire seemed to be speaking while walking. The baby was fine, but after overhearing your conversation with Rose Shun at the hospital, I had an abortion. When you chose to save someone else's child, you gave up on our own. So don't come looking for me anymore. Don't ever appear in my life again. Sam Sue, you're already outdated. With the last word spoken, the call ended. Sam sat in the cramped, dimly lit motel room. He remained motionless for a long time, frozen stiff, like a statue carved from stone. For the next 2 years, Sam met with repeated failures, accomplishing nothing. To survive, he had no choice but to start delivering food. One day, in a dilapidated house, he encountered Rose Shin once again. She opened the door to receive the delivery. Her eyes were red and swollen, bruises covering her body. Inside, a man was pointing at her, hurling insults. A familiar scene, with familiar people. Sam practically fled in panic, immensely grateful he was wearing a mask. We've each been promoted to department heads, gained respectable social status, bought cars and houses, with our housing provident funds fully covering the mortgages. Anyway, I'm alone now, with no children, and even if I had money, I wouldn't know who to leave it to. At that moment, he finally realized with sorrow, his entire life would amount to no more than this. Occasionally, he would recall the young boy studying diligently by the artificial lake, the wind whipping past his electric bike, poor and struggling, yet full of hope for everything, with a future ahead, with beautiful girls to dream of. That boy seemed to be him, yet somehow didn't feel like him at all.